Hey everybody, it's Zach. Welcome back to the Heroverse. And guys, I just got done with All American Homecoming Season 2, episode, I want to say it's probably, I think it's like 15, titled, I think it's episode 14, titled Stand Up for Something. Guys, this was another good episode of All American Homecoming. There was a lot that went down in this episode, and, I feel like the way we kind of left things off in this episode, I think we're in for a good episode, like a good season finale next week, because next week will be the season finale. It's the last episode of the season. It's crazy to think that like there was only 15 episodes this season. It's crazy to think that. I can't remember how many episodes season 1 was, but like this season went past really quick. And in this episode, with Simone and the tennis team, they're kind of dealing. They're kind of like waiting to hear what people, I guess, wanting to hear people's response to the video about them all agreeing to post the video about the officers pulling them over for no reason, pretty much, of course, of, essentially like, racial injustice. And I'm glad that, they wanted to, post that, because they were thinking, okay, like, we need to, like, we can't let the officers get away with what they did of pulling us over just because, we had because we're all, black school, like, you know what I mean? And they just saw, like, Princeton University on here, and they thought they could just pull us over and they could mess with us. Like, we're not going to let that slide. We want them to be held accountable. And, they're also, but they didn't get the response that they wanted. There was nobody taking their side. There was nobody saying that this isn't right. There was a whole bunch of people that saying, they're just wanting to make problems for police officers, and there was just a lot of rude comments saying like, no one's asking them, like, no one's saying what the girls did to get pulled over to begin with, and blah, 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 blah. Like, there's no one speaking out. And they're not getting the response that they hoped that, they were going to get about, people seeing that what the officers did to them to make them, miss their meat, and not even just miss their meat, but what the officers did, pulling them over for no reason just because they were racist. They didn't get the feedback that they wanted, where people were going to, want those police officers to be held accountable, for what they did. And that's pretty much, what they have to deal with, in this episode. And they're kind of like, they're trying to deal with the fact of, like, what should we do? Because no one's talking about what went down. People are talking against us, making it sound like, we were the ones in the wrong for what went down. Those officers had the reason to pull us over. But no one's seeing that, what they did was not right. And, it's kind of like the tennis team has to decide, like, okay, like, what are we going to do? Like, do we want to do a rally? Like, do we want to, like, is there any point of doing a rally? And I'm really glad that Simone really kind of, convinced the team, like, this is what we need to do. Just because, people on Yard Yak aren't, we're not getting the response that we thought we were going to get. Doesn't mean we need to stop here. It means that we need to go bigger. We need to get it out there that, like, what those officers did isn't okay, and they need to be held accountable. And I'm really glad that, we had, was it Thea winning, like, Thea came back in this episode, and I kind of forgot almost, because, Simone and Damon and also Nate all kind of figure out, and I think also Lando all figure out that, Thea is actually, like, the reason that she wasn't on the bus to go to that, to go to that game, her tennis tournament, is because Thea is going pro. That's why she didn't go to the tennis tournament. And I totally forgot that in last week's episode. I was like, okay, like I thought it was weird that Thea wasn't there, but I thought she quit the tennis team because she wants to go pro. She's doing things to be a pro in tennis. So it's like, I forgot about that, and it made a lot more sense why Thea wasn't there, but everybody's upset about that, especially the tennis team's upset at her when she kind of, like, knew what happened to them because of the video. She wanted to come support, the tennis team, and, you know what I mean, and pretty much, come support, pretty much, to get those officers accountable, make them be held accountable for what they did. But the whole tennis team is kind of against her, kind of, like, being upset at her because she wasn't there, and because, that she didn't tell them that she, left the team to go pro. And I was like, there's a bigger thing here, is that, you guys can be upset for Thea not telling you, but you can't be upset for Thea not being there knowingly, like, on you know what I mean, and not being there because of what happened. When it's like, she's like, I wish I was there to help or whatever, and then that's when, Simone and Tootie were like, we're glad that you weren't there, or like, oh, but you weren't there, and we're glad that you weren't because, whatever. Like, they were just being rude to her when she wanted to be there to support them and be there kind of to support the bigger issue of, racial injustice. So I was like, I was happy that she was there, even though, because she felt bad that she wasn't there and she wished that she was there to help them. But they were just saying that even if you were there, you couldn't help. Thea, we're glad that you weren't there. Blah 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 blah. They were just like being rude to her. And then of course Nate's like, what did you expect was gonna happen? They would just welcome you with open arms or whatever, because and I felt like that was kind of like, why is they should be happy that Thea's there and wanting to help. It's like, I don't find what Thea did bad. Like, it's not Thea's fault. Like, Thea being there or not being there would not stop the officers from doing what they did. So I felt it weird that they kind of made it sound like they were blaming her for not being there because of what happened, and her not being there could have, her not being there, her being there would have prevented things from happening. That's what it kind of sounded like. And I felt like, it's a bigger problem at hand. Her not being there and her wanting to go pro and not telling anybody, that's small compared to the bigger picture. And Thea knows it. That's why she showed up. She wanted to be there for you guys. She wanted to be there for the bigger issue and get and go do the rally, so that way the officers could be held accountable and nothing like that would happen again. So that kind of really annoyed me, that the way they were treating Thea. But Thea had to find a way to kind of get their, to kind of earn their trust back. And she ended up bringing in Coco Gauff. I'm not very, very familiar with if she's I think she's an actual tennis player, like a world champion tennis player. I'm not very familiar if they're just actors that they're bringing in to portray tennis players, or they're actually world famous tennis players. Like, I'm not in the tennis, I'm not in the tennis news of that sport. I don't really know much about that sport, so it's kind of hard for me to know, is this the actual tennis player, or I mean, I just get confused sometimes. So maybe Coco Gauff is actually a world famous champion tennis player. I think she actually is. But Thea brought her in because of the connection of Thea wanting to go pro, but also I guess Thea sending it in to somebody that knew Coco Gauff to have her come there and be like, I'm and she came to Brixton saying, I'm here to support you guys and what you're doing. This is really brave what you guys are doing, even though she heard about, I think it's the GCU or GA, I think it's, GCU or I think that's the name of the big, tennis, committee. I think they're called the GCU or GAU or something. I think it's the GCU. Let me know if I'm wrong or not. But, it was interesting because, they were bribing Brixton, saying you guys can, you guys can finish out the season, and you guys don't have to we'll let you I guess redo your game if you don't protest. And it was literally that they were bribing them, saying if you guys do this, you know what I mean, and you just because they wanted it to just blow over. They wanted those officers not to be accountable. So that's why they said, if you guys, don't go on, on whatever, I forget the thing for it. Don't try, doing a rally, then we'll let you kind of, finish out the season, essentially. They're kind of bribing them. And it was real messed up because, again, they want those officers to be held accountable. They don't want to be held accountable for them pretty much, not caring about the issue that they went through, because, mind you, Coach Lonnie told, the people that were running the tournament what happened, and they didn't care. So essentially, they're also trying to cover their ass too, and saying we'll let you do it because they don't want to get in trouble as well. But essentially, they end up getting, I guess through the connections of everybody, I guess they're under, I guess the people, those officers are kind of being looked at the end of this episode. They're going to be looked into and what went down. And I think GCU is being looked into for them, kind of doing the bribery thing. So it's everything worked out at the end of the day, but of course that they still can't, finish out their season. But apparently Coco Gauff said that, the GCU or GAC or something, I think it's GAC, can't stop you guys from doing a exhibition match. I mean, you can do one to finish off the season, but it's it won't be a real match. It's just an exhibition. It won't count and won't let you guys finish out the season. It's something you guys can do kind of to get kind of like to essentially like end the season in the right way, even though you can't do it, like through the proper channels of like of like how you would end the season in tennis. So it's like I'm glad that there's still some things that they can do. It's still not fair that they're not like able to redo their match the right way and kind of get that. So it's like you win some by them winning about the officers being looked into, and like I think the GAC being looked into about them doing the bribery stuff. But it's like you lose some on them not being able to really finish out the season in the right way. So it's a win-lose situation. I think the winning is the bigger picture of what went down. I feel like that's what they understand. Like, Simone and the other tennis players understand that there was a bigger picture at hand. Yes, they're not able to finish the season, but yes, their choice by them, kind of, ripping up the paper about the agreement of, we'll let you finish out your season, but you can't do a rally, was their way of saying that this is the bigger picture. We know what we're fighting for. Us, pretty much, folding right now instead of getting justice isn't the right way to do this. Like, us just putting up with this isn't the right way to do this. We have to go at it head on. So I was glad that they kind of understood that this is the bigger picture here, because all of them were getting ready to like sign the papers about just, not doing a rally just because they could, so they could finish out their season. But Simone's like, we can't do this because it lets them win. Because they know what they did was wrong, and they don't want the officers to get in trouble. Like, it's not cool. We just gotta go do this. And I'm glad it took Coco Gauff to pop up to be like, I commend you guys for what you're doing. Like, your bravery. Like, this is what I believe in. This is what you like. This is what needs to be done, and I'm glad you guys think that. And it was brilliant to come up with the rally and to kind of fight for, racial injustice. So I was like, I was glad that she had to be there to kind of motivate Tootie and the rest of them to get on board about this is the bigger picture. Who cares if you guys get to finish out your, like, season or not? Or like, you know what I mean? It's like, I know you want to finish out your season, but this is the bigger picture. Things need to be done about this. What you mean, to protect the next people, you know what I mean? So, like, to protect other people that this won't ever happen to them. You know what I mean? So I was like, they're fighting for a bigger change, and I appreciated it. I was like, okay, like, this is what needs to be done. I'm glad that they're doing this. But Damon and and the baseball team are in there. I think they're in the championship, and they're fighting against Trevor's team. I can't remember the dude. It's like Trevor something, but he's playing against Trevor's team in the I think it's the semifinals or whatever, or what championship. I don't know but they're playing the championship. And there's a lot riding on Damon. Damon feels the pressure about, this is the big game. If they win this, you know what I mean? It was all worth it, essentially. Like, how much pressure was put on Damon, you know what I mean? He'll be like, okay, like, I was able to, like, follow through with this, you know what I mean? And get, Brixton a win. But if he doesn't follow through with this, he'll feel like he's, like, he'll feel like, like, kind of upset at himself. So really, there's a lot riding on him, and like about everybody saying like, oh, you know what I mean, like you're leading the Brixton team, and like, oh, everything rides on you to win this game because you were an MLB prospect, so you know what I mean, like we expect you to win, and blah 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 blah, and just putting all the weight of the world on his shoulders. And when it's like, no, Damon's like, it's the whole team that the whole team got us to the championship. It wasn't just me, you know what I mean? So like, chill out with that. And I'm glad that he had to correct the one person that was interviewing him, saying like, no, it's like, I didn't get everybody here, we all got here together. Like, it's not all on me just because I'm an MLB prospect. It's the fact of I'm just like everybody else, you know what I mean? We got here through hard work. And there's a lot, he feels the pressure, but also Marcus is able to see that Damon's under pressure about, how everybody's kind of riding on him, and he kind of doesn't want to admit to the fact of, like, he feels like, he has to win because everybody, like, he feels like he has to win, or like he let the team down. He kind of feels that way, saying like, I don't want to feel this way. Me feeling the pressure of like, oh, if like, that of all the pressure on me to win because of who I am, but like, I feel that like, if I don't win, it's my fault. It's not really the team's fault. It's my fault because all the pressure is on me. People might blame me for not winning. So it's like, I'm glad Marcus picked up on that, because, Marcus is really like on the up in this episode. Like, he's really happy that, his team got to the championship. He's like, he gave, Damon his championship glove that he had when he did the match that he had. And it's like, he's not expecting Damon to carry the weight of the team on his shoulders. It's like it's everybody, you know what I mean? He expects everybody to carry that weight, not just Damon. It doesn't all ride on Damon if they win or lose that game. It's the fact that they got there, and I'm glad because they end up losing, and I'm glad because Trevor got into Damon's head, and I'm glad that, you know, they all celebrated the win even though they didn't have even though they didn't win. They're like, even though we lost, we still got here. We were on a losing streak, and we all got to the championships. We got to top 25. We're going to party. We're going to have a good time. This was a very good year for us. Like, it wasn't on you if we win or lost. We win or lose. We're going to take this as a win. Even though we didn't win, technically, like, we're going to take this loss as a win because of how far we've come. And I like that a lot, too, is that they weren't going to take this loss and be like, okay, like, you know, Damon, it's your fault, or, oh, like, you know, we should have won, blah, 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 blah. It's the fact that they realized that we were on a losing streak and we got to the championship. And, you know, even though we lost, it's like we still got to the championship and we'll win next year. I'm glad they're going in with that mentality. And I think when you do a sport, you should always rock that mentality of like, even if you lose, you need to remember what you did to get there and realize that that's a win. What you did to get to the point, you know what I mean, of getting there. So that way you can use that mentality to do it again, and you know what I mean, and you maybe can win next time. You know what I mean. So it's like you always want to keep up. You know what I mean. You're kind of like just you always want to be on the up. You always want to have positive energy on the fact of like even if you lose a game, you always win next time. You know what I mean. So I was glad that the team had that energy, but like, you know. Yeah, we worked hard to get here, but like it's the fact that we got here. We got to this point off of a losing streak. So that was really cool. But also like in this episode, Damon also has on his mind about like who is Simone going to choose, because Simone in this episode, that was the thing that really bothered me about this episode, is Simone still kind of playing Damon and also like playing, you know, what's his face? I can't remember like bro's name. What was his name? I have to look and see Lando. She's still essentially playing Lando, and Lando doesn't know that like Damon kind of poured out his heart to Simone until the end of the episode when like Damon tells, you know, Lando, like, I don't want to be like, you know, rivals anymore. Like I don't want to be that anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Like, let's just like squash that and let's just be friends and let's just be, you know what I mean? And, like, let's just stop the beef. Like, let's just do this. I don't want to be, we're on the same team. But he's like, I need to tell you that I know you have feelings for Simone, but I have feelings for her too. And I poured my heart out to Simone, and I told her I love her. And it's kind of like, you know, it annoys me because Simone knows that about Damon telling her that he loves her and kind of putting the ball in her court. But like, she's willing to like go flirt with Lando and act like Damon didn't say anything to her, and still has yet to give Damon that conversation about does she want to be with him or not. And I don't find that fair that what she's doing to Damon isn't okay. It's like, it's either you want to be with him or you don't. It's not hard here. Clearly, you're able to flirt with Lando and act like Damon didn't just tell you that he loves you. So it's like, just go tell Damon you don't want to be with him so you can be with Lando. I hate that shit. It's annoying. And it just makes me think less of Simone that she's doing this when she knows. It's not like Damon didn't say to her, I love you. It'd be a different answer, I feel like, then, because, you know, she's like, you know, being with somebody, and there isn't her knowing that Damon loves her. But now that Damon loves her and said, I'm gonna put the ball in your court, I want an answer, you want to be with me or not, and yet she's still going to go flirt with Lando and act like, oh, she didn't just kiss Damon a couple of episodes ago. She's doing Lando dirty and she's doing Damon dirty. And if you want to be with Lando, tell Damon you don't want to be with him. That shit just annoys me so freaking much. And I don't know, they need to, like, wrap that up this season, because if they carry that shit over to next season, so help me God, we might have a problem. Like, that shit's going to be so annoying, and it definitely makes me lose respect for Simone big time. Simone was definitely on the kind of, like, Simone was definitely, like, on a seesaw. You know, her character was definitely on a seesaw kind of, like, situation this season, because there was moments I liked her, moments I did not like her in this season. So it's definitely, like, I hope they kind of fix that going into next season, because, like I said, it annoys me, some of the choices that character makes. I was like, I just get so freaking annoyed, and you guys know what I'm talking about with it's mainly the relationship stuff, and mainly the way she was treating Layla in that episode, and a whole bunch of like all that stuff too. She was able to forgive Jordan and give Jordan the blessing to be with Layla. But when Layla wanted to kind of like be friends with her, and because Layla still wanted to be friends with her, she's like, I don't want to be friends with you. You know what I mean? Like you and Jordan can be together, but I don't want to be friends with you. That all that bullshit. She was on that seesaw trip with me. There's moments I'm like, good for you, let's go, Simone. There's moments like, oh, why Simone? Like, what are you doing? So it's like, I don't know. This is definitely a situation where I'm like, choose. It's not hard. You have a choice. You clearly know who you want to be with, and it looks like she wants to be with Lando. But at the end of this episode, when like Lando ends up like after Damon tells Lando like I told Simone I loved her, he of course then tells Simone like I want to be more than friends. I just don't want to be friends with benefits. I want to be like more than friends. I want to be with you. It's kind of feel like then where Simone's like, oh shit, like I feel like you know what I mean, like I now have to make a choice because Lando doesn't want to just mess around anymore. And he wants to be more than friends, but also like Damon wants to be more than friends. I kind of put her in a position where it's like she has to choose now, and I'm hoping she chooses in the finale of next week's episode, because if she doesn't, that shit's gonna annoy me going into the next season. But honestly though, I'm thinking about some other things. I mean, Amara was dealing with I also the what the tennis team was dealing with, and Amara was dealing with, you know, I guess the board of Brinkston pretty much saying that, you know, she thinks that the board of Brinkston said she thinks the tennis team should take the deal that GCA or GCU, I think it's GCA or whatever. Again, I can't remember. About them, you know, not doing the, you know what I mean, they'll let them keep playing and finish the season, or they'll redo the match and let them finish the season if they don't do a rally. She was just okay with, you know, she wanted Brinkston to do that. When it's like, no, Mara's like, I'm worried about, you know, the students at Brinkston, not our name Brinkston. I'm worried about the students and how like this isn't okay for them to just roll over and act like nothing happened just to finish out their tennis season. Like that's not what the girls want, and that's not what I want. And I was really happy that Amara was like, no, we're not gonna like just because you guys care about don't want any more, you know, drama, you know, being put on Brinkston, or don't want any more bad press being, you know, or bad light being shined on Brinkston, doesn't mean we're about to roll over and let what those officers did go. And you know what I mean, it's not what's going to be happening here. If they want to protest, we're going to let them protest. So I was, you know what I mean, I was glad. I was like, you know, good, like that's what they should be doing, because like that shit's not okay. And if you ignore the problem and roll over, shit like that keeps happening. You know what I mean? Like it's, you know, the only way we're going to get change is if we speak out about it. Like that's the only way. But other than that though, like that one like secretary lady for Amara was like hella annoying, but I'm glad she kind of came to her senses at the end of the episode, because this is the same girl I think like Amara said like when like Cam kind of told that lady off, and then she's like, I'm Amara Patterson and I approve this message. I think that's the same secretary lady that like Cam and Amara like dissed that lady, you know, that lady. So I think it's the same girl. So it's like there's a moment in here I was like, someone please diss her and tell her to sit down because she's hella annoying. Until the moment she's like, you know, these students, I realized that, you know, back in my day, like, you know, me protesting, I feel like didn't really like do much change. But I know that these students are different, and you know what I mean? And I feel like they're the ones that will make the change happen. I was glad that she had that realization that like these students are resilient. They'll make change. They never give up. So I was glad that she kind of had that realization. But other than that, I was like, this secretary lady's got to go. Like, I'm shocked Amara hasn't fired her already, after she had the nerve and the gall to kind of like, you know, get up in Amara's face about, I forget what it was about. It might have been about the, I can't even remember. I think it was about like the student, like when everything was going around the school about like her favoriting students at the family dinners, or maybe it wasn't that. Maybe it was with the whole threat on the school or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but like that shit was so annoying, and I loved that clapback Amara did in that episode. That's probably like my favorite moment of Amara, is when she's like, I approve this message. I was like, that's fire. I feel like that's everybody's favorite moment with Amara, when like she did the clapback and Cam helped her out. Like Cam like lobbed it up to her, and then she like dunked it on her. Like that's literally what it was. It was like Cam lobbed it, and she's like, I'm Amara Patterson, and I approve this message. Dunk. So it's like, I don't know. I'm shocked that this lady hasn't been like fired yet, but I guess, you know, she came to her senses. I'm glad. Hopefully she's not like still being rude going forward. I hope not, but you never know. But what's going on with also Nate in this episode is that Nate apparently rescheduled a paper interview for the paper of Bringston, and the person came anyway, and pretty much said like, "Oh, this is tradition. You have to do it today, because like we're in the final parts of the race." And you know what I mean. I already interviewed, I can't remember man's name. Nico, I already interviewed Nico, and we have to interview you now. And of course, you know, Nate's like, no, I need to be here for my friends. This is more important. And if you can, and the reason, and I rescheduled because, you know, me being here with my friends is important. He's like, oh, like this is tradition. And she's like, like, no, like this is more important. You know what I mean? Like more than a student, you know, more than a presidential race. Like this is more important what we're doing here. And I'm glad that dude came around to his senses and was like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Like I'm like, why don't I like put you saying that in the paper? You know what I mean? About like how you think that, you know, how you say that this is more important, fighting for racial injustice than doing a race for student president at school. And in a way that, like, you know, that's good that Nate knows the bigger problems, that like it's way bigger than a student a presidential race. It's way more important. You know what I mean? So I was glad that Nate's like, like, you know what I mean? I'm always here for my friends. I always show up, and I know that this is more important than you're on a race to be president, you know, with Nico. Like, this is more important. And I don't think Nico would do that. I think Nico would put that way before what was going on with the would put, you know, being, you know, the presidential race way before what was going on with the tennis team. Like, I don't think Nico would do some shit like that. And I feel like that also puts Nate in a good light to the students of Bringston about, like, that's the president you guys should be voting for. And he even knows it too. The person that was interviewing, you know, Nate, like, I would vote for you because you know the bigger problems and the bigger issues at hand. So overall, I really enjoyed this episode. I'm really excited to see how they end the season, or what they do with the season finale next week. Let me know down in the comments below, like, what did you guys think about this episode? Did you guys have any favorite moments? Did you guys like anything certain about this episode? Did you not like it? Did you like it at all? What do you guys think is going to happen in next week's episode? I'm really curious to know. And also, let me know if you have any theories going into season 3. Like, do you guys have any theories? Other than that, we're just going to be rocking with All American, because All American has a couple more episodes left, because we just got done with episode, I want to say 14 or 15. I think it was episode 14 of All American. So we have 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So we have about like 6 episodes, I think, left of All American until that season is done. So, you know, I'm just right here kind of enjoying things while things are going on. I think I've been maybe enjoying All American Homecoming a little bit more than All American, because I feel like All American is just, it's been a little bit iffy until, like, they kind of, you know, did the thing that I don't want to spoil anything for people that maybe aren't caught up with All American, but I can imagine you guys know what's going on. That kind of got me interested. If you guys watch my reviews, that kind of like saved the show or saved this season of All American. So it's kind of like I'm all in with All American until they're like done with this season, and I've kind of been here sticking with All American Homecoming and liking All American Homecoming a little bit more than I've been liking All American. So I am excited to see what they do next year for All American Homecoming, what they do for season 3. But like I said, let me know down in the comments below your thoughts. And also, again, here, if you're new to the channel, subscribe to the channel, put on notifications, like this video. I'd love to have you guys here, a part of the fam, a part of the channel, all about spreading love, positivity, and motivation. And yet again, guys, we are almost to 700 subscribers. That is the goal, to hit 700 subscribers. My initial goal at the end of this year is to hit 1,000 subscribers, because I really want to get monetized. I'm really trying to make this my living, guys. I'm really trying to, like, share my message about spreading love, positivity, and motivation, and spread the message that you can follow your dreams. Don't let anybody tell you can't. If you want something in life, go for it. Strive for it until you achieve that goal. And this is a goal I have, and a dream I have, is to be one of the biggest YouTubers here on YouTube, and really, you know, get to do the things that, you know, I want to do in life, with this being the main thing. So, you know, again, subscribe to the channel, put on the notifications, and like the video. But guys, yet again, that was the video. Hope everybody has a great day, a safe day, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.